Hello, you're watching Outsiders with Rowan, Saving Private Ryan Dean, and Rita, Private Benjamin Panahi, and I have got news for you about the latest crisis in the woke American military. Now, who here remembers when the Pentagon's top brass fought to win wars rather than make the world safe from microaggressions?
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laughed. That's why Americans have never lost and will never lose a war.
Those were the days. That was George C. Scott playing the great World War II Commander General George Patton, addressing his troops in what I consider one of the greatest war movies ever made. But what sort of message are American soldiers getting these days?
How do we go about creating a safe space for everybody?
That's a good question. A really good way to do that is to use inclusive language. Instead of saying something like, hey guys, you can say, hey everyone, or hey team.
Yeah, and now that you say that, another way that we could show that we're allies and that we accept everybody is to maybe include our pronouns in our emails, or like we just did, introduce ourselves using our pronouns.
I don't know, I seem to remember when allies meant something different in a military context, but here we are. As the Chinese Navy launched its newest aircraft carrier, what you just saw there, was what sailors in the U.S. Navy were learning for Pride Month. Now, you recall some months ago, we played you a bit of this new woke order U.S. Army recruiting ad.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. Standing at the altar to marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. I found it. A way to prove my inner strength and maybe shatter some stereotypes along the way.
How very empowering. That ad appeared around the same time leading Army figures like Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, was testifying to Congress about needing to understand white rage. And that was, of course, just months before he mismanaged America's humiliating and chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, the U.S.'s greatest military debacle since the fall of Saigon. So, what does all this mean? Well, guess what, guys? Ideas have consequences. According to NBC News, in the wake of all of this, every single branch of the U.S. military is now looking likely to fall well short of its 2022 recruitment goals. Now, the experts cited by NBC pointed to a range of factors behind the problem, but it is worth noting that they found that a record low number of those eligible to serve would now even consider it. Just spitballing here, but could it maybe be that those who might otherwise have considered serving are now turned off by the prospect of putting on the uniform to fight and die, not for the values of a human resources department? It's a bit of a worry, particularly considering that there seem to be no small number of defense and foreign policy elites who are seeking to turn Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine into a casus belli for World War III with Moscow. And speaking of Russia, it's worth noting that the recruitment ads seeking soldiers for Putin's army are a little less, shall we say, PC.
Потому что без врага нет боя, а без боя нет победы. Но на самом деле главный враг — это ты. Вчерашний ты. Твоя задача — выследить врага, догнать его, превзойти, стать лучше, чем он, и вернуться назад победителем.
I sincerely hope we're all not about to engage in a real-life battlefield experiment to discover whether or not diversity really is strength.